everybody, and welcome to Get to Know Your District. I'm Tom Turbeville. Thank you for joining us here on Channel 16. We're visiting with Pat Corbett. Pat is in his first year as the Director of Fine Arts at the BISD, which means you have a lot of territory to cover. All of the schools, K through 12, including 2 high schools. Talk a little bit about this being in your first year and just generally about the Fine Arts program.
Well, I'm excited that I came on board in June after being 3 years at Jane Long Middle School as an assistant principal. And I'm excited about the fine arts here in Bryan ISD. Our teachers and our students are awesome. We're performing, we're showing our art, and it's just a great experience for me getting to know all of our teachers and our students.
Talk about your background. You've been with the BISD, I think, for 3 years. Before that?
Before that, I was a band director in San Antonio at Fox Tech High School, and prior to that, I was a member of the President's Own United States Marine Band in Washington, D.C. for 20 years. I retired from the Marine Corps in 2008, so I was a musician at the White House was my job. I was able to play for Presidents Reagan and Bush and Clinton, and then President Bush until my retirement in 2008.
We're going to talk more about that. That had to be a great experience. The places that you played in and around Washington, D.C., representing the Marine Corps. I guess you played, in the East Room at the White House, and that just had to be something that you'll obviously never forget the rest of your life.
It was quite an experience getting to play in the Rose Garden and the State Dining Room and then the main foyer at the White House. Seeing all the dignitaries, and I like to say, had a front row seat to history, seeing some pretty amazing things.
What instrument did you play?
I played the trombone.
You played the trombone?
Yes.
All right. Let's talk about the program here with the BISD. We are hearing this during the Bryan Rudder football game, and at halftime, I know it's very special for your junior high and middle school kids because they're getting to sit with the band, perform with the band in the stands. That's going to be exciting for them.
Oh, they really look forward to it. Our high school directors love it when the middle school kids come up and get to play with the high school bands. The high school students love it because they get to kind of teach and show the 8th graders, what marching band is like. Building that school spirit for the Bryan Vikings and Rudder Rangers. Prior to the game, we're going to have all of our choirs from middle schools and high schools performing together in the north end zone, singing the national anthem, and so that'll be quite a sound to hear all those students singing together in the end zone. So we're going to have a lot of kids singing and playing on that game. So we look forward to that night.
And the high school bands will be performing as normal during a high school football game, and you've had a hand in both of those performances, obviously. Obviously, there's a rivalry on the football field. Is there sort of a band rivalry during halftime, too?
Well, our directors work really closely together, and we're all about teamwork. But I think I would be wrong to say that there's not a little bit of rivalry that the students see on the field. And kind of looking back at it and saying, kind of nod in acknowledgement of how they performed. But both of our bands have been working really hard since August. Through the August heat, marching and refining their shows. And the great thing about October 21st is the fans are going to see the bands at their best, because the next day they both travel to Midway over in Waco for their UIL marching contest.
So it'll be a big week. Talk a little bit more about fine arts. Fine arts includes a lot more than the band performances. It includes stage performances too. Talk about that aspect of the program.
Yeah, our theater programs are thriving. We've already had several productions. Our Davila Middle School has already done a mystery dinner theater, which I attended, which was a lot of fun. We have performances coming up for our theater programs. But the most exciting thing, and I'm going to jump ahead, is on November 14th, we have the Bryan Civic Auditorium is reopening after a complete renovation. So that's going to, on November 14th at 6 p.m. is going to be our rededication concert, and we're really excited to have the Texas A&M Singing Cadets be our featured group for that night.
That will be exciting. What's the date on that again?
It's November 14th at 6 p.m.
Performing arts, my brother was very involved in that, in musical theater. It's very special, and I know that it's probably special to you also. And a lot of folks from Bryan and College Station have been in performing arts from way back when, that now you can see on TV shows and in theater, on Broadway stage. And I guess some of your kids are aware of that this has been sort of a launching ground, this community, as far as performing.
It has been. We have a lot of incredibly talented people coming out of Bryan. I'll just go back to my days in the Marine Band. One of my colleagues in the band was a Bryan resident, born and raised in Bryan, went through Bryan ISD, and graduated from University of Texas. Irvin Peterson was a fabulous musician and completed a 30-year career in the Marine Band, and he is a Bryan ISD product.
We're visiting with Pat Corbett. He's the Director of Fine Arts with the Bryan ISD. Pat, finally, talk about how you view the importance of fine arts in the total curriculum of a student's education throughout the year. I know that there are probably, when it comes to funding, sometimes fine arts, there's this idea that they're going to be early on the chopping block if there's a funding cut. But obviously, you're a person, and I'm a person too, who doesn't believe that that's the right way to do things, because it is such an important part of the curriculum.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think the things that our teachers and the skills that our students are learning in fine arts, teamwork, and I believe one of the most important skills that they learn is perseverance. Is they're learning a skill. The first time they pick up an instrument or pick up a brush in their art class or do a performance for the first time, it's never really good when they're just starting out. But for students to persevere through that and learn, that's a character trait that they're going to be able to use throughout their life. So, what we teach in the arts and the creativity aspect, looking at problems differently, and being able to evaluate, all those are, as they say, 21st century skills that our employers are looking for. And I'm proud that our teachers in Bryan ISD are helping our kids learn those skills.
Pat Corbett is the Director of Fine Arts at the Bryan ISD, and he's been our guest today. This has been Get to Know Your District. I'm Tom Turbeville, right here on Channel 16.